precise. We didn't concentrate so much on parameters. That being said, we know that for plasticity, you need a lot of repetitions. So we want to see more than one rep. If you're doing treatment, you probably need at least 3 reps, let's say in an OSCE to say that you've done a few reps. I would want to see at least 3 reps, and then you may say, oh, I would normally do even more, depending on how much time you have left in the station. But that might be at least enough to tell us that you're doing a few reps, and that because you have to reassess. And depending on how many other things you have to do in the station. Was that what you were looking at?
Well, there was another thing with the quick stretch
Yeah.
at the knee in the gait.
Yeah.
So just push down.
So the quick stretch in that is a kind of more global. It's, you know, when we're doing the gait thing, it's not so much the real quick stretch of the iliopsoas. So it's more, again, they're in a stride position. So it's going to be only that back leg, and that back leg, it's basically pulling them more into weight bearing and more into terminal stands. It's not pulling them back, so you don't want them to lose their, you know, pulling them back. You're more pulling them down, and that helps to stretch the muscle because they're standing up. And the idea is more that it's a guide to give them more terminal stands in order to get the initiation of the hip flexion through. And then depending on your arm position, you're either quite proximal or more distal. Good.
I had
Next
another
group,
question.
yeah?
It's for the sit to stand.
Yeah?
I'm not sure where to put my hand.
So the same thing with the sit to stand, it's not any of those typical, you know, patterns or anything. So with the sit to stand, we said 1, look at the posture. So if the person's slumped, you can't do it anyway. So the first thing you have to do is neutralize that pelvis, unslump them. Unslump your patient. So unslump your patient, you have to get them into a neutral pelvis, and then usually that's when we approximate. So they get into a good position, you approximate. You could do that a few times, because typically a person's not just going to get it the first time. But for sure you have to do that, and then that's your starting position to do the forward. So you can't get a person to sit to stand from here, they have to be like this. Either they're holding it or you have to hold it, and then one hand if you're sitting down. So typically it depends if there's a weak side and a strong side, but typically there's one hand that's going to be more at the pelvis or the buttock, and the other hand is going to be more higher up on the trunk to help with the anterior movement. So if there is a weak side, then that's the one that I put on the bottom side. So this might be where she's weaker. This might be where I'm just going to help with the anterior. If she is strong, one hand or both, I may say, okay, you're going to push with me. Okay? And we're going to go 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And then I help up. So, no, if I was worried about this leg, I'd be yes. And it depends. I mean, it's not automatic. It's if I know this leg is very weak or she's never been up, then I may have this leg at a ready, so that once she's standing, then I'm feeling, okay, can she stand? And here I would have had to already prepare a cane or a table, and your feet would be probably the same.
If I'm like that,
Then I would help you to get even. Yes. And then there I would feel, you know, with my knee, is your knee buckling or not? Because if it's not buckling, I'm not going to throw her back. You don't want to hyperextend your knee, and you don't want your pressure against her knee to throw her back, right? And sometimes perhaps even when you were practicing amongst yourselves, if you were helping the person and pushing so much that when you were helping, you were pushing them back, you would inhibit or hinder their movement. So the cross block is only once they're standing, not during the movement, because as they're getting up, they're not going to really collapse then. It's really when they're in weight bearing. And then you're feeling. If the leg is holding, then you don't. If it's not holding, then you're just putting your knee just where you know, at that range that you don't want the person to go below. So, you know, maybe 20 degrees of reflection or something. So does that answer your handling?
Yeah.
And then you would practice weight shifts while you're still holding your knee in there? Like,
So it depends, well, again, it depends what's wrong. You know, if you were just doing the sit to stand, I wouldn't work on standing. I would do, yeah, I may not even get her fully to stand. I may just work, you know, halfway up and then back down, halfway up, back down.